All right, going to bring in Thane Rosenbaum now to join us. Good to see you, sir. You know, he's talking a lot about just how much integrity the 2020 election had. I wish somebody would ask Liz Cheney right now, do you think it's okay to send mail-in ballots all over the place when you have an election? Because no other sophisticated country does this. Nobody else does this because everybody knows what it leads to. But according to Liz Cheney, this was a perfect election, and this was all. Go ahead.
You're absolutely right, Rob. And also, she's misstated the record. Just for your viewers, it's not. It may be true that 60 cases were dismissed, but not because the judges said there was no fraud. The judges said that there was no evidence of widespread fraud. The point that you're making is true. Everyone recognized to a large extent that there were defects in the verification of the ballots, in the statistical discrepancies of the rejected ballots from prior years, ballot harvesting, mobile ballot drop-offs. There were problems because the country was not set up to receive tens of millions of absentee ballots. And so the judges never said, and they did not even conduct one evidentiary hearing. They simply dismissed the cases and said no widespread fraud. And also, Rob, judges said something else that she's not mentioning, which is they said, given the extraordinary relief that's being asked, right, which you know what that meant? Disqualifying millions of ballots in battleground states, in cities, urban populations that had large African-American populations. Judges literally said, I'm not prepared to do that. I'm simply not prepared to disqualify the votes of African-Americans in a country that once had slavery and Jim Crow. So she's misstating this. She makes it sound like this is completely baseless. But as you just pointed out, look, this was an extraordinary election in which changes were made to our structure of our elections. By the way, in violation of our own constitutional principles, Article 1, Section 4, those changes needed to be made by state legislatures, not by courts and not by state federal election officials. So there were problems. There were problems. It made
that's before you even get to the Facebook ballot drop boxes, and that's where you get to the media covering up for Joe Biden's corruption and everything else. Let's listen back in.